Today, we're going to take a look into the ancient past of Peru by exploring the archaeological site known as Pachacamac. This pre-Incan settlement dates back to nearly 2,000 years ago and is the product of multiple cultural influences along the way. Despite the continued changing of hands, it has been a religious site for pilgrims throughout the ages. At its peak, it covered nearly 1,500 acres and was home to around 10,000 inhabitants. Why the name Pachacamac? Well, he was the ruler. You see, Pachacamac was the pre-Incan creator deity. The name roughly means, he who gives movement to the world, and that includes the earthquakes that are so common to this area. Yes, this was his land. That is, until the Spanish arrived in the 1500s. But we'll get to that a bit later. Our first stop is going to be at the museum, to take in a bit of history about this fascinating place. Here you will see many artifacts recovered from these very grounds, but I'm saving the best for later, so stay with me. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, you just can't wait to get out there and explore these ruins, so let's get to it. Now keep in mind, this is a pretty expansive archaeological site. While it is possible to tackle it on foot, you may want to take part in an official tour that will guide you between points of interest by vehicle. As we proceed into the ruins of this ancient settlement, we find ourselves approaching the Ramp Temple. It is believed that this was constructed by the Ixma people sometime after the 11th century. And directly across from it, you will notice an ancient walled pathway leading right up to this magnificent structure. This is the Painted Temple. It is said that this was built by the Huari people prior to the arrival of the Ixma. This is actually the temple that was used by the Oracle, and people from all over the region would come here to seek out a bit of her mystic insight. Nearby we have a cemetery where bundled mummies were recovered, along with ceramics and textiles. It is apparent that much looting has occurred here, but there are still plenty of pottery shards and even a few bones scattered about across the desert sands. Up in the distance is the Temple of the Sun, and we're going to head on up the pathway to take a stroll around this amazingly large structure. It seems to have once been used as a ceremonial place to leave offerings, and yes, even to conduct acts of human sacrifice. Look closely and you can see a layer of red plaster, highlighting a series of interesting engravings. So what exactly happened to this once thriving civilization? Well, like I mentioned earlier, the Spanish would eventually make their way here in search of gold. Though this area had already been ruled by various cultures, by 1470 it fell under the control of the Incas. It was in 1533 that a small group of horseback soldiers, led by Hernando Pizarro, arrived with a goal. Pizarro was to seek an audience with the great Pachacamac, who he assumed to be their mortal ruler. His request was initially denied, but he remained determined. Eventually, the priest agreed to let Pizarro enter the chambers of Pachacamac, with the strict order that no one should ever look directly at the revered leader. He passed through a seashell-decorated door like this one, and into a room where he would finally meet face to face with the mighty Pachacamac, a large wooden statue standing at over 7 feet tall. Outraged by what he had seen, Pizarro then destroyed the idol. Over time, many of the locals who were not happy under Incan rule would eventually begin to side with the Spanish, helping them to further secure their foothold in this part of the world. And well, the rest is history. I would like to thank you for tagging along on this epic journey with me. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and check back soon as there are many more adventures on the way.